Hi, everyone. Welcome to First Church for Religious Science here in New York City. Welcome to our Zoom gathering. Or if you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube or Spotify, however you're connecting with us, welcome, welcome. If you're tuning in later today or later this week, we're glad that you're all here. We're glad to hear from you. We get all of your comments. We appreciate all your feedback, your well wishes, your support. Let me mention first that we meet here Thursdays for our Louise gathering tonight, and we also meet on Sunday mornings at 10:45 for our main lesson for the week, and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Where Jimmy, our practitioner, hosts our Creative Living series. So you're welcome to attend each and all. There's no charge. We have a love offering, so if you can, you're welcome to. There's support options in the chat. One thing that's really helpful for those of you who use YouTube is to go there and to like our channel. That's as good as a donation because that helps people find us, and it does a lot of good for the work we do. Everything we present is available to you within an hour or two, available 24 hours a day, especially on YouTube and Facebook. And I believe we're a lot of other places as well. And if you go to YouTube or Facebook, you can revisit, you can rewatch, you can stop, you can pause anytime from anywhere. So tonight's healing message is entitled The Thoughts That Build or Break Your Life. Again, this is a Louise Hay self-healing class based upon her book, You Can Heal Your Life. And her work here, The Science of Mind, mostly Louise Hay. And I want to say something clearly from the beginning. Your thoughts are doing something. That's something I want everybody to know. Your thoughts are powerful and they're always doing something. That's my line for tonight. Your thoughts are shaping how you see, how you feel, and how you show up in the world. They're building something, moment by moment, thought by thought. And if you've walked this path for a while, you've heard all the sayings that we use, or sayings that I've made up, sayings that have been passed on to me by other teachers, like thoughts are things, or it's only a thought you're having, and a thought can be changed. So what this means is you're not stuck. You're not too late, even though you might think you are. It's not too late. You're not too late. You're not stuck. You're not powerless. That's really important. I was in a 12-step program for many, many years. I still am, technically, a part of it. We might be powerless if you have a substance abuse issue, when you have whatever it is in your system, right? Or you're in that mode. But you, in fact, have tremendous power. There's power for good available to you. And Ernest Holmes would say you can use it. So you're not stuck, not too late. Doesn't matter if you're 42 or 82, it's not too late. You're not powerless. Think of your thoughts as your instructions. Think of your thoughts as your blueprints or your instructions. So the real question isn't, am I thinking? Because we all are thinking. The real question isn't, am I thinking? It's the question we might ask ourselves is, what am I building with these thoughts? And do I want to live in what I'm building? Okay. So you have these blueprints and you ask yourself, what am I building with these thoughts? And do I want to keep living in it? Because here's a quiet truth most people don't say out loud. A lot of folks are living in houses that have been built largely by fear. They're living in houses that have been built with fear and guilt, shame, and they keep redecorating the same structure, hoping it will feel different. But if your foundation hasn't changed, neither will your feeling. One of the reasons we're here together week after week tonight is to remember the power that we keep giving away. We have the power to call back the builder within us. Ernest Holmes says there's power within you. You can use it, right? So we have the power to call back the builder within us and to look at the blueprint of our lives and say, I get to choose again. I can do this again, starting here, starting now. And we're never going to do that with judgment. We're not here to shame the thoughts we've had in the past. We're here to wake up and say, if I planted it, I can uproot it. Because it's cause and effect. We've had lots of erroneous thinking and thoughts. And if we've planted those thoughts, then we can uproot those thoughts. Again, if I repeated it over and over again, I can replace it. So we have habituated thoughts that have been repeated many, many times. If I've repeated it, I can replace it. If I believed it, I can bless it and I can let it go. That's a good line as well. If I believed in it in the past, I can now bless it and I can let it go. That's not your ego. That's developing spiritual maturity. Because you learn and you grow. You learn and you grow. And you know more now than what you did at a different point. If you believed it, you can now bless it, release it, and let it go. That's the level of self-responsibility that Louise Hay, Ernest Holmes, and every great teacher has pointed us toward. Not to blame ourselves or anyone else really, but to empower ourselves. Because once you see the thought for what it is, once you can recognize and know it and what it's all about, you don't have to let it run you anymore. You don't have to be run by it. You can say, these are my programs. Once you realize you have them, you say, okay, I've got some programming. I have some BS, some baloney. I have this going on. So I don't have to be run by them anymore. These are my programs. Again, once you realize that you have them, you no longer have to be run by them. So I've said it twice. So here's a gentle challenge. Please let go of the need to be the exception. Let go of the belief that says your wound is stronger than your spirit. See, we have a lot of things that we carry. So we want to not let ourselves think that these things are exceptions, right? That's why that line I have in the lesson, don't let your wound, don't let the belief that says your wound is stronger than your spirit, because you're stronger than anything that's in your life right now. So ask yourself, what would I change in my life if I stopped making excuses? What would I change if I stopped making excuses? Because the truth is, you're not broken. You might think your life is broken. You might be going through a tough time mentally, emotionally, physically, health, financially. The truth is, though, you're not broken. You might be doing a few things without realizing it. You might be arguing for your limitations. Could be every time you say, I can't do this because, I can't do that because. No, pay attention to that word because. Every time you say, I can't work because, that won't work for me because, and every time you push away a new thing or a new possibility with an old story, we want to be very careful of that. Every time we do that, or when we do that, most of the time, we're defending a pattern that you want to be free from, really. Or we're arguing for a limitation that's in our life. And when we're putting more energy into making that argument, that's why you're stuck. And it's preventing you from moving forward. So we want to be open to the new, and we really want to be letting go of that. And we want to release the need to argue for our limitations. We don't want to be talking about the lack of health or the things we don't have. It's better to turn that conversation around towards what you do possess, the health you have, the love you have that's in your life. So pay attention. I'm asking you to release that whole process of arguing for your limitations and knowing your power is much greater than anything that you're experiencing in your life. So let's take a breath together. In and out. And just for a moment, think of yourself as having great willingness to receive and to let go of the things that don't work. Let go of the stories, whatever story comes to mind, whatever excuse, whatever story. In this moment, you say to yourself, I let it go. I let go of the things they said. I let go of of who didn't show up in my life. Let's bring our attention inward. Feel your feet on the floor. Notice your breath moving in and out. Notice your breath moving through your body. Feel the quiet power of this moment. This is a moment where new choices can be made, where choice is possible. And in this beautiful place, ask yourself gently, without judgment, just with some curiosity, is there a thought that I have been defending? Is there a thought that I've been defending that I no longer want to live by? What comes up? Is there a thought that I have that I've been defending maybe that I no longer want to live by? Or here's another good question. Is there a story that I've been carrying about myself, about anything, about life, about people? Is there a story I've been carrying that I don't want to carry into tomorrow? Is there any belief, any story I've been carrying? So whatever comes to mind, just let it come into your awareness. Whatever it is that you've been carrying that you don't want to carry into tomorrow, softly and inwardly or aloud, repeat after me. I no longer argue for my limitations. I'm not going to speak of them. I release the need to have them be the exception or be the exception. I'm willing to believe that healing is for me. I'm going to release all of that now. I'm willing to believe that healing is for me. Followed by, I don't need to carry this thought any longer. I release the need for it. I don't need to carry it any longer. I'm willing to see everything differently. I'm willing to see this situation differently. I'm willing now to be free. I'm willing to stand in my freedom. And I know right here, right now, everything's in divine order. I know right here, right now, that I'm so supplied and supported. I know I'm not broken. I'm an inlet and outlet of God activity, of source. And I am the thinker of the thought. I'm the thinker of the thought, and I can choose again. So whatever it is, you're bigger than it. And you can say that again. I am the thinker of the thought, and I can choose again. So breathe that in and exhale. Breathe in the idea that you're not powerless. Breathe in the idea that you're powerful beyond anything you understand. Whole, complete, and perfect. Breathe that in. Breathe in the idea that you're powerful. And today, this evening, something has already begun to shift within you. So in this gathering, we've been talking about our thoughts, how they shape our experience, and sometimes they hold us back. But we want to get practical. We want to be practical in our lesson. How do you even know what you're thinking sometimes if most of your thoughts are automatic? That's something to think about or consider. How do you even know what you're thinking when most of your thoughts are automatic? It's a good question. I ask everybody weekly, as you know, what has it been like being you? What have your thoughts been like? Because the truth is, a lot of the time, we're not thinking about our thoughts. We're being our thoughts. It's as though they're running in the background. You hear like you have your phones today, you have a playlist. Well, our thoughts are running in the background like a playlist. And maybe a playlist that we didn't realize that's on repeat, like the same group of songs are going round and round. It's like a loop. So how do you catch one of these thoughts before it becomes your mood? Because your thoughts are things, and you keep thinking them, then you're going to have a reaction, right? So how do you catch a thought before it becomes your mood, or it turns into your reaction, your decision, or even your regret? Here's one clue I can give you. Let's take a look at your emotional patterns. If you find that you're feeling anxious a little bit too much, or if you feel like people don't hear you, or if you feel like you always expect something to go wrong, then understand there's a thought underneath all of that. There's a thought underneath those feelings. Again, if you feel like you're a little bit too anxious, or that people are not hearing you, or that you're always expecting things to go wrong, like you've got that worst case scenario thing going on, then understand, or please consider, that there's a thought or a thought pattern underneath that feeling. Louise used to say, if you want to understand what you're thinking, look at your life. Look at what you're experiencing, because your experience is a mirror. Your experience is not a punishment. It's a reflection, right? Your experience is a reflection. And if you don't like what you see, you don't smash the mirror, right? You change your thoughts behind it. So let me give you a simple example. A woman I worked with once said to me, I feel like people are always overlooking me no matter what. And she was very caring and kind and always tired. She's always doing everything for everyone. And she said, it's like I'm totally invisible. Unless somebody needs something, then they remember me. So I asked her, what are you thinking about yourself when you go into these places? And she said, well, I think, and she paused, and then she said, well, I don't really think about it too much. But now that you're asking me, I sense when I go into these places, these groups, that they don't really want me there. And that was her thought, her basic thought. It wasn't dramatic or anything, but it was powerful. She unearthed something that runs underneath, like an old program, a playlist, where she said, I don't think they really want me here. It's a powerful idea, because if you really believe that, even quietly to yourself, you start shrinking yourself. You're thinking you're not loved, you're not wanted. And maybe you don't speak up. You second guess. And then people pass you by. When people pass you by, it confirms that belief that you have underneath. That's how that loop works. These old ideas that loop around and loop around. The thought creates the experience, and the experience then reinforces the thought. So some of us might have a bit of that going on. We have these old ideas, and they create our experiences. And then our experiences reinforce the thoughts. So then it becomes, it's like we're dug into it, right? And that's how life gets built, brick by brick, thought by thought. But we have good news in this teaching. You can do things with those loops. You can say stop in the name of love. You can say next. You can say cancel, cancel. You can do many things to interrupt a loop or a negative thought. You can pause and say, where did that come from? Why would I say that or think that? Who told me that? Where did that come from? Or do I really want to keep believing this? Why would I say it? So then I'll get dramatic with myself. I'll say, stop in the name of love. I'll invoke Diana Ross, the Supremes, or anybody else. I need to get it to stop that thinking. And I want to stop it. I want to release it. I want to replace it with ideas of truth. And I want to build on those with passion. Because here's the thing, we're not powerless. We, again, are the thinker of the thought, and that makes us the builder of our experience. So now let me tell you about someone else, someone who changed everything with one new thought. She was in her late 50s. She had been divorced a while. She's scared to death about starting over, because she's always been in a big family, married, had a big family, and she said, I've never lived by myself, ever, ever, ever. I don't even know how to begin. And her first thought every morning, she was very sad, and she says, I'm too old. It's too late. I just can't get caught up. And these thoughts just were looping around and looping around. She looked in the mirror one morning and wondered what happened to that beautiful girl that she once was. And then when she's looking for a job, she looked at the job listings, and she had a lot of good experience, but they want all kinds of technical, skills. And she thought, why bother? Why even try? Because she see these job listings. And then she said to herself, nobody wants somebody like me anymore. And then one day she was taking one of the classes, and she heard something that caused her to stop in her tracks. Someone said, "Your thoughts are not your destiny. Your thoughts are just suggestions. You don't have to believe your thoughts." So that line helped her a lot, that she didn't have to believe her thoughts. She said, "I've been treating every thought like it's the truth." And she said, "I think I've been wrong about a lot of things." So she really started to work with her thinking and her thoughts and cancel them out, replace the negative with the positive, the things that we talk about often here. She started by trying something small. Every morning, instead of saying "too old," which is what she was thinking habitually, she whispered a new thought, and she would look in her mirror and do some of the mirror work that we talk about, and she would say, "I'm just getting started." And she would try to smile at herself, and she would say, "I can do this." And at first, it didn't match up because she didn't feel that she could get started or anything else like that. But she'd worked with her affirmations. And some mornings, she said she did it through gritting her teeth, and she was upset. But she said those affirmations anyway, getting ready to go out and feeding her dog and in and out, going to the car, going to the mailbox. And slowly, over a period of some number of weeks, something started to change where she started to feel a little bit better, a little bit lighter, and a little bit stronger. So the story went on that she did get a job part-time, and that was a blessing for her. And she even joined an exercise class, which helped her in different ways, and reconnected with an old friend. And she noticed after a while she started laughing again and finding things to be funny. And one day she shared with me, "It wasn't that job that changed my life, though that was helpful. It was the thought." She said, "It was my thinking." And you see, that's what Louise Hay meant when she said, every thought we think is creating our future. Not someday, not in theory, but right now, every thought we think. So if we know our thoughts are building something, if we know it's happening, let's be intentional about what they're building or what we're building. Let me give you a few seeds tonight. You don't need to feel them yet, but just ideas. Just plant them into the fertile soil of mind, as we say. Plant them with some passion if you can. Plant them always with some positive expectancy if you can muster it up. Plant them with hope, with knowing, with breath. Here's a great idea to plant. I am not my past. Again, I am not my past. I am my potential. I'm not, everything that's happened to me, it's almost like it doesn't even matter. I'm not that. I am my potential. My future is not on repeat. In other words, that background noise and that looping stuff, my future is not on repeat. Say to yourself instead, something good is unfolding for me right now. Something good is unfolding for me right now. You could say, I can think a new thought and I can live a new life. That's a great one too. I can think a new thought and live a new life, a great life. And always this one, it's not too late. I'm right on time. See, you don't have to overhaul your whole life this evening. It's not required. You don't have to erase everything you've ever believed either. You just have to stop watering the weeds. I love that line. You don't have to erase everything you've ever believed. You just have to stop watering the weeds. And what we want to do instead is start feeding what wants to grow. We want to start feeding the things that want to grow within us so we can flourish. Remember this evening, you are the builder. The blueprint is in your hands. And this evening, you get to lay down a new foundation. A foundation that's built upon love, one thought at a time. One more story. I once knew a man, I think his name was David. We're going to call him David, who had carried, I'll call it a sentence with him since he was a teenager. It was something his father had said to him quickly in an argument. And the father said to David, you're never going to be anything. You're never going to amount to anything. Now, that's probably the worst thing you can ever say to a teenager. And maybe the father didn't mean it, but it's something that David never forgot. Those are the kinds of things that have ever been said to you. You remember them for a lifetime. And David remembered, and it was an internalized thing that he's never going to amount to anything. And he spent most of his life trying to prove that wrong. He did get a stable job. He got married. He had a family. He did most of the things most people want. He did them well. But beneath all his effort was the sense that he's a messed up person. And it just lived with him. That was his reality. And the other message is everything he was going to get was going to be hard and he had to earn it. And like so many people, he wasn't conscious of these underlying beliefs that were going on in his life because he never really enjoyed what he had. So he was a guy also that always volunteered for everything. He always overperformed. He never asked anything of anybody. He was always taking care of just about everybody. So that was the identity he had. He was the most reliable person anywhere he went. And yet, when everything slowed down, when his kids were grown, and he wasn't so busy anymore, he still didn't feel like he had accomplished enough. He didn't feel proud. He felt unfinished. It's like something was missing. And I forgot to mention, he was a part of our church group. And one day, in a class, he happened to say, he was talking about his belief systems. We're always seem to be talking about the thoughts we're thinking in our belief system, the ideas that we inherit from our families, beliefs that we didn't choose, by the way, for the most part, because they were spoken when we were young kids, when we were absorbing like sponges, when we were children, just trying to figure out who we were and all of that. And David shared, my dad, in all kinds of ways, suggested I wasn't good enough. And I think he did it with all the others, he said, but he really did it with me. And had been waiting for him all through my life to change his mind and approve of me. And here's the sad story. David's father had passed away, and David kept carrying that idea with him. But the ache was still there. So once he shared that with the group, that moment hit him and hit everybody else. So I asked him, if I remember, I don't know my exact words, if you could set that aside, that idea that you still need to prove yourself to anybody, prove your worth, what would you start building if you knew everything was good, if all is well? And he didn't have a quick answer, but something shifted, because a few weeks later, he told me that he had signed up for a woodworking class. He was good with things like shop, not to impress anybody at all, but just something that he wanted to do, because he always loved building things with his hands. And he said it helped him a lot, helped him breathe, helped him relax. And then he said something that I won't forget. He said, for the first time, I'm not building anything to prove anything. I'm building something because it brings me peace and I enjoy doing it. See, that's what a single new thought can do. It won't rewrite your past, but it can release you from the version of yourself that got built around somebody else's words. So we have the power to rebuild from the inside out. It's always going to be that way, by the way. So let's anchor all of this, everything we've spoken of tonight, everything we've heard again or been reminded of, with a moment of stillness, a moment where we return to the truth. So take another breath with me. And if you feel comfortable, you can gently close your eyes. And this is a moment that we shift from the noise of the world to the inner clarity of our hearts, from the voice of fear to this whisper and knowing of peace within. And here we're going to speak a new truth altogether. This is my word spoken for myself, in the presence of all that is sacred and loving. Right here, right now, I remember who I am. I'm not a product of someone else's opinions. I'm not the child of criticism. I'm not the echo of old pain. I am the thinker of the thought. I am the builder of the life. And I am choosing right now to build something new and wonderful. I release the thoughts that break me. I release the beliefs that bind me. I release the voices that never knew who I really was. And I choose again. I choose thoughts that bless my body, nurture my relationships. I bless the thoughts that bring forth abundance, that reflect the deep and unshakable love of the universe. I choose to remember now that healing is always available because it begins with a single thought. I choose to believe in peace, and I choose to believe this peace is not outside of me, but within me, waiting only to be remembered. I choose to believe that I'm not behind. I choose to believe I'm not behind or late. I'm not too old, not too broken. I'm right here and I'm right on time. I'm the living proof of a new beginning. And I know as I change my thoughts, I change the energy around me. And as I change the energy around me, I change my world. I bless this moment. I bless my mind. I bless the sacred journey of becoming. I'm no longer building from fear. I'm building from this certain truth, this knowing, from freedom, from love. And so it is. So as we gently open our eyes, we carry the awareness with us, not as just a good idea, but as a lived practice, a willingness to build our lives affirmatively, more consciously, more compassionately, again, courageously too. So now we're going to turn the cameras from me, thankfully, over to you, where we can hear from anyone that wants to share. We have a moment or two for everyone, or for anyone who wants to share. We can share what came up for you this evening, what stood out for you. What are you ready to stop building? Or what are you ready to begin to build? I'd love to hear from anyone who's new, at least to say hello, where you're from, or anyone who's been quietly listening who feels ready to speak. This is our gathering. This is your community. This is your space, and these are your people. So take a moment to reflect what's coming up for you, what's stirring you. We're listening. We're with you. And your voice matters here. Everyone's voice is important. And thank you, everyone, for all your support. I appreciate it. And so it is.